All right, so we're talking about autorhythmic cells now. So these are the cells that actually trigger the contractile cells to depolarize. All right, so these cells begin their cycle at -60 millivolts. So that's right here. Okay. Autorhythmic cells do not have a resting membrane potential. Okay, they're never resting. Okay, so they don't rest. All right, so at 60 millivolts, they start to depolarize just a little bit. There we go. So they start to depolarize like that. And I'm going to call this 3. So basically these cells, so autorhythmic cells have these special channels that are called IF channels. So you can look at them as funny channels, just to remember the F. So they're funny channels. And they're funny because they're leaky. These are leaky channels. So they're always leaking out. They're leaky channels for sodium. And let's see, sodium and potassium. They're leaky for sodium and potassium. However, sodium leaks out faster. So because it leaks out a little bit faster, it causes a little bit of depolarization here. Okay? This right here is called the pacemaker potential. So that slow depolarization of the membrane due to the movement of sodium and potassium, but the faster movement of sodium creates this pacemaker potential. Once this pacemaker potential reaches -40 millivolts, once it gets there, it depolarizes. So we'll call this 4. So once it gets to the -40 millivolts, basically what happens is that's basically threshold. And at threshold, calcium channels open. So threshold is -40. At threshold, we've got calcium channels open. Calcium will enter. Calcium is a positive ion, so of course it makes the membrane more positive. So it goes up to 20 millivolts. At that point, then we get repolarization. Call this 5. So at this point up here, just like normal, potassium channels open and we repolarize. Okay, so we repolarize back to -60, but at -60, again, we have the leaky channels, the funny channels, the IF channels. And we start slowly depolarizing again. And once we get to -40, then we depolarize. And then potassium channels open and we repolarize. So depolarization, repolarization, back down, back to -60, and back to the funny channels causing depolarization. So at positive 20 millivolts, so that positive, so right here, so we've got positive 20 millivolts. I can put positive there just to kind of show that. So that cytoplasm will pass through the gap junctions. That's why the gap junctions are there in the intercalated discs. And that will depolarize contractile cells. So again, there's only a few of these cells. 1% of the cardiac cells are these autorhythmic cells. So once they send their cytoplasm over into the contractile cell next to them and that depolarizes, then that contractile cell will send that action potential to the next contractile cell, and that will send it to the next contractile cell, and it'll pass it all, or it'll pass that all the way down the heart. That's why the heart doesn't beat. All the cells don't beat at the same time. They beat in a wave, and that's how that occurs. So now we need to look at where these cells are, like where these autorhythmic cells are in reference to where the contractile cells are.